Greetings and welcome to Monster Legends for another special feeding episode. This time we're going to be feeding my first mythic. And this is Xavipit. And Xavipit, of course, is a mythic. He is water. He is mechanical, works for the good legions, but takes time for adventuring. And of course, Xavipit showed up with lots of open ruin slots, so that was very, very nice of him. Alright, I do have a spot for him, and basically the only place he's going to go, which is right over here. He's going to be the first occupant of this mythic habitat. Well, it was nice of him to cool those fellows off, right? Alrighty. Okay, so there he is. He's all by himself. Don't worry, we'll get company for you as soon as we possibly can. This is someone who I'm going to rename, of course. Well, that's a very nice looking background. I wonder if that's unique to him or basically all the mythics get that. I guess we'll find out. Anyway, this is Xavipit. He is a mythic, of course. He is also water, and he also has an evolving trait. Let's take a look at that. He begins hardened, which means he has a 20% added chance to resist negative status effects. At rank 1, he becomes also immune to freezing. At rank 3, he also gets basically a self-cast for trait protection, so you can't disable his trait. Although, his trait isn't really outrageous that it would really be a big deal, unless of course you wanted to freeze him, right? Alright, let's look at his stats. Oh my! Okay, well, his strength is enormous, his life is enormous, his speed is enormous. So there's going to have to be a scale in the future here because, of course, I'm looking through legendary eyes, and legendary eyes just aren't going to do it anymore, are they? No, they're not. So his numbers are going to be very, very big. All right, let's go into the skills. His initial skills. Good to be here. Deals low water damage to one enemy, applies drown to one enemy. And that's a 0 cooldown and a 0 stamina. Probably not keeping it though. Then we have MN Lops 19. Deals low metal damage to one enemy, applies nightmares to one enemy. So are these fellows going to have dual elements? Kind of like the epics and such? Interesting, we'll have to see about that in the future. And of course, his special skill, Democracy is overrated. Removes positive status effects from all enemies, deals very heavy water damage to all enemies, applies drown to all enemies. Well, that looks like an extremely powerful special skill. Ingenica had always dreamed of crafting an artifact with a real soul. She had almost given up when she received a piece of mythic ember, which allowed her to fulfill her dream. Xavipit is kind and empathetic, but when he hits the battleground, he becomes lethal. Okay, well, hopefully he becomes lethal for me. I'm guessing that even mythics eat tomatoes, so let's get going with that. I'm pretty sure his final evolution will be at level 4, right? So let's do that. Level 4, there he is. Okay, so his final evolution, and time to get going with the skills, right? Alright, so let's begin. I'm sure they start at level 7. Sharp Orbia Pinion. Deals moderate water damage to one enemy, applies bleeding to one enemy. Alright. Kind of low on the moderate side, but we'll take it. Let's continue. He only has 6 skills, so this is going to go fairly quickly here, right? One step ahead. Applies nature and earth weakness to one enemy, gives extra turn to itself. Alright, well, he has water and metal here, so it's not really very useful, but for now we have to take it. Wow, that was expensive though. 40? Well, it does have an extra turn. It's just, it really depends on who he's grouped with, doesn't it? Alright, well, let's continue to level 15. Oh, pardon me. Oh, I guess he doesn't get it at 15, does he? Oh, they spread him out. Okay. Let me focus you. Applies torture immunity to one ally. Applies precision to one ally. Alright, well, for the moment, we can put that. That's actually not a bad skill. Oh, we'll put it there. We're not going to keep that. Alright, so he doesn't get them every 5. He gets them every 10. Is that the way that is? All right, I guess we're going to find out. So I'm just going to motor right to 30 here. Nope, he got one at 25. Liquid MN Lops 19. So it's the liquid version. Applies poison to all enemies, applies nightmare to all enemies, and requires a cooldown. All right, so pretty expensive in the stamina department, though. So let's see. I might as well just put it there because I'm going to be keeping that one. All right, so let's continue. To level 30? I guess not. Level 35. El Prat Protector applies quicksands to all enemies, applies bleed to all enemies. All right, so I will put that there for now. Put that there. I may get that one back later, but we'll have to see about it. I just want to keep them together. All right, so let's continue, and I wonder, is it going to be 40 or 45? I guess it's 40. Catch the Wave. Applies drown to one enemy, gives one extra turn to itself. All right, so I'm going to keep that one. They're very expensive, though. You know, I didn't even notice. Okay, so they start with 180 stamina as opposed to 140. All right, so I just wanted to look at that because I figured that, yeah, you know what? Their stats are already great. Look, he's level 40. And if he was level 60, his stats for strength and speed would already be great. If he was just a legendary, right? All right, so let's get our next skill, which might be our last one. Well, it depends. Okay, 45. No. We just got rid of that one. All right, let's see. There should be another one. I might be mistaken. Oh, wait, we saw that one already? All right, so we're going to go to 60, and then we'll figure out what we're going to do, right? I'm probably going to be keeping that one. You know what? I'm going to put that one up here. Because that might actually be it. So let's see. We'll get to level 60 and that one right there. All right. So let's just check out the skills. Now, was there anything that there's only 2 skills here. And yeah, right. I don't want either one of them, right? We have this one, which is a torture immunity to one ally. Precision. I don't really think that that's useful, especially considering how expensive it is. 60? I mean, if it was doing that for everybody, I would absolutely take it. It just doesn't seem to be something I'd want to do for just one person, right? This one could be useful depending on who you're grouped with. So if you were going to set up a team and there was like a nature or a damage dealer there, this one could be useful because you're just going to do it and then move on to the rest of your stuff. So yeah, this one could be very useful. I think that's about it, because these were the starting ones. Even though that's not bad, it's just the damage is kind of low, right? All right, and let's just pop out, because after all, there's only 2 extra skills that we're not going to take. We get 6 skills after the initial ones, and we can take 4, so which ones are you not taking, right? All right, let's check out his... Oh, wow, yeah. I mean... Yeah, the stats are just ridiculous, aren't they? I mean, look at the speed. He's not even supposed to be fast himself. You know, he's not. He's just kind of like a torture dude, you know, with a little bit of support stuff going in there, but mostly tortures, right? And he's got nearly a 3,000 speed. So if you wanted to go crazy with speed on him, you could do that. I would probably... I think I mentioned this one when I talked about him. What I would probably do is 2 speeds and a big old life, just to take advantage of that life and make sure he stays alive, because strength isn't really very useful to him. You know, I'd want him to stay alive so he can do lots of torture effects. And, you know, the thing about it is speed isn't so bad for him because he gets to do the torture effects, you know? Okay, so let's take a look at the skills that I selected. We'll begin with this one. Sharp Orbia Pinion. Deals moderate water damage to one enemy, applies bleed to one enemy. So this is really the only damage one. I think this was the biggest damage one he had. It's a 0 cooldown, which means if you activate his cooldowns, he can just do this. And it does put bleeding on, so it's not terrible. But, I mean, it's not going to kill anybody, unless, of course, they're very near death anyway. But the big thing, of course, is it does give a torture effect. All of the skills that I selected give torture effects. All right, and then we go with this one. Liquid MN Lops 19. Applies poison to all enemies, applies nightmare to all enemies. So this is obviously 2 torture effects that he's going to be putting on all the enemies, assuming they're not immune or they don't resist them. So, and then we move on to this one. El Prat Protector. applies quicksands to all enemies, applies bleed to all enemies, and of course another cooldown. These are expensive. This one's a little less expensive than the last one. I'm not really sure why. This one is a 50, and this one is a 40. They both have the same cooldown. I'm not really sure why that is. I mean, quicksands is pretty good. Bleed's not bad. I mean, I would take bleed over nightmares, but then again, one individual might be bleeding from this one. Maybe that's what they're thinking. I don't know. Anyway, that's 2 skills and 4 torture effects, but it's actually a little better than that because then we have Catch the Wave. Applies drown to one enemy, gives 1 extra turn to itself. So, if he led with this one, he could target one individual and give them drown, gets an extra turn. Then he could do either one of these in the same turn and have everybody else, assuming they don't resist or they're immune, have all the other team with 2 torture effects except for one who has 3. The next round, unless they remove them, he could add 2 more. So he could have one individual with 5 torture effects. So there definitely is a motivation for wanting him to go faster. So that's the reason I'm thinking 2 speed and a big old life so that he can stay alive. I mean, he's got a good life, might as well take advantage of it. And you don't need denial speed with this guy. But 2 good speeds, that'll definitely get him going. It's hard to say how good or how bad he is at this point. Obviously, his stats are enormous. The skills of these guys so far are not amazing. I mean, he could do a lot of damage with torture effects. We're going to have to see in the grand scheme how he's going to fit in once we have maybe like a dozen of these guys. It could be that this guy is like, oh, just nobody uses him because he just wasn't any good at all. I mean, look at it this way. Ranking him up really is not going to increase his damage because his damage is coming from torture effects, and they're always going to do a certain percentage of damage. So ranking him up will make him faster, and will give him more life, and his one terrible attack may be a little bit stronger. But, I mean, it's not going to make him do more damage. The only thing that's going to make him do more damage with the torture effects is if his target actually has more life, because it's a percentage. So, in the end, the stats may not mean a lot for him, except giving him the opportunity to do his skills. So that's why I'm saying we don't really know in the grand scheme if he's going to be great or he's not going to be very good at all. Once we have more mythics out, and we're getting a lot of them, by the way, it'll become more clear. Anyway, I'm actually mentioned this in a video. I'm probably going to keep him at 60 and keep the next 2 that I get at 60 because I really want to throw these guys at the adventure map and see what they do in the same kind of trial that I've been giving to regular legendaries, right? To see if they have a lot easier time of it. Because after all, their skills aren't amazing, but we'll have to see. This is Xavipit. He is the first of the mythics in which I got. And hopefully he'll have a lot of company in the future. Anyway, thank you very much for your attention. I really appreciate it. And play games because games are fun. See you.